Good morning. On this Wednesday morning, September 1st, welcome everyone to this morning's devotion. Wendy Chadwick, good morning. Wendy, are you at Shaver Lake this week? I think you are. Say hello to your mom and dad for me. Let them know we're praying for them. Dana Kreshock, good morning. Barbara Richardson, welcome everyone. Don Hoverson. Sally Crocker, good morning. Jim and Kathy Fuente, welcome this morning. Barbara Del Rio, good to see you. Debbie King, good morning. Welcome everyone. Karen Faust. Yes, several of you have anticipated that today is my birthday. It certainly is. There's my mother who made my birthday happen. Thank you for being here. Debbie Jackson, good morning. Tara Hooper, good morning. Carmen Lego, good morning. Emmy, good to see you. Daryl and Suzanne, good morning. Deanne Fine, welcome everyone. Yeah, a lot of great faces in the live stream this morning. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your well wishes. Jan Akins, good morning. Karen Lowe, welcome this morning. Janisa, good morning. So we are in today's September 1st, so we are in Proverbs 1. And Proverbs 1 really sets the tone for really the whole book of Proverbs. And Solomon is credited with the Proverbs in this chapter. You know, of course, he's the collector of Proverbs. You know, forgive me. Sierra told me yesterday that I keep intermingling the writer of Proverbs with the psalmist, and I'm gonna mess that up. I think all of this month that we're trying to do Proverbs, I just get psalmist in my head because we've done this for a year. So just every time I say the psalmist, just know I mean the writer of Proverbs. Hey Letitia, good morning. Jen Smith, welcome this morning. Okay, Proverbs 1. Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. And we know that Solomon was the wisest king. He is attributed, wisdom. No one was wiser than Solomon, right, of all the kings. And in fact, other royalty from other nations would come and learn of Solomon. The Queen of Sheba would come and say, man, there's amazing things happening here in Israel. And they wanted to learn of Solomon. And so we get, here's Solomon penning his own Proverbs. And so Proverbs 1 is really a chapter that is dedicated to his son, Rehoboam. So Solomon has gained all this wisdom. He has all of this notoriety for deep understanding and his wise ways of ruling in Israel, and he was very successful and so on. And it was really important to him to pass that wisdom on to his son. He wanted that legacy to continue. And so he gives his son the ultimate key of wisdom. If you learn nothing else, Rehoboam, learn this. That fear, this is verse 7, I'm going to consolidate here for the sake of our time frame. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. And guess what? Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So the implication, he's already said in the first 6 verses, is how great it is to understand, how great it is to have wisdom. And we ultimately, how wisdom works, we ultimately receive it from someone else. And we contemplate, we reflect, we process, and then we live it out. And then we, in turn, teach it to the next generation. And he's saying the ultimate source of wisdom is God. Having a relationship with God. He's the one who's created it all. He's the master builder. He is the the one who is sovereign over all. He is the one who not only understands how the world works, he is the one ordaining it. He holds things all together. He knows the end from the beginning. He is carrying out his divine decree, which he spoke into existence. Who else would you go to get the meaning of life and the purpose of life and what is the best way to live life than the one who created life and sustains life, God himself. And so that's why it is so wise to fear the Lord. And a fool would reject God. Fool would say, the proverb writer will say later in the chapters, which is also quoted in the New Testament, the fool says in his heart, there is no God. The fool is rejecting the very source of ultimate wisdom. Makes me think of Jesus' words when he says, everybody who hears my words and actually does them, puts them into practice, is like a wise man who built his house on a sure foundation. My words, my teaching, right? So he is, and the foolish one is the one who rejects that and builds his house on some other foundation that ultimately will fail. And so we have this great privilege of knowing and gaining wisdom from the source of all wisdom, God himself. And it's on us, if we are wise, to learn, understand, and live it out. And then in turn, pass it on to the next generation. And so the sad part of this is Rehoboam was not known to be a wise king. He is actually known to be a very foolish king. This must have been, I can't remember if Solomon was still living when Rehoboam, he must not have been when Rehoboam was, I'd have to check on that. I hadn't thought about that. But if he was living, I would imagine he would be quite dismayed at his son. So let's read a few more verses before we get to Rehoboam in his his folly. Later in the chapter here in Proverbs 1 verse 20, Solomon depicts wisdom as this woman, Sophia, who's calling out in the streets. In other words, anybody can hear the voice of wisdom. And it's not like God is hiding wisdom from people. He wants everyone to know who he is, to know how to live a skillful life, which ultimately will be a blessed life. And so wisdom is seen here depicted crying out in the streets. Wisdom cries aloud in the street, in the markets. She raises her voice. At the head of the noisy streets, she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates, she speaks. And she says, how long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? A simple one is one who lacks wisdom, right? Who has not yet rejected wisdom, I guess, to qualify as a fool. They're just ignorant, we'll say that. But they are in league with the fools. How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing and fools hate knowledge? If you turn at my reproof. So if you listen to my voice crying out in the streets, my warning to you, he says, I will pour out my spirit to you. I will make my words known to you. God is not withholding wisdom. Makes me think of James chapter 1. In the midst of trials, we're trying to count it all joy in the midst of tribulation. How do I navigate this well? And I think it's verse 5 in James chapter 1 when James writes, you who lack wisdom, ask of the Lord, who gives generously without reproach. This is the same idea. I mean, James had to have read Psalm 1 that morning when he penned his first chapter of his epistle, right? Because here you have wisdom crying out to the simple, that is those who are ignorant, as well as the foolish, and he says, hey, listen, if you heed my words, I'm going to pour wisdom out on you. I'm not going to withhold it. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to pour my spirit to you, make my words known to you. Because I have called and you refuse to listen, have stretched out my hand and no one has heeded, because you have ignored all my counsel, I will also laugh when things go bad for you. I'll mock. Wisdom, that is mocking when you follow your own way, which isn't the way of wisdom, and things go poorly. It's like, yeah, I told you, right? You didn't listen. Then they will call upon me and I won't answer. You're going to have to pay the penalty of your own folly, right? You're going to, it's the law of reaping and sowing. If we make a series of bad choices, we're going to have to kind of deal with the results of those bad choices. Because they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear the Lord, they would have none of my counsel, despised all my reproof, therefore they shall eat the fruit of their way. That's the law of reaping and sowing. So there is wisdom. The wisdom is found in its source in God himself, who created all things. He governs all things. Who better to go to discover the best way to live life than the author of life? But if we refuse, it's going to go harder for us, and we're going to have to live with the consequences of those choices. These are the words that Solomon is passing on to his son Rehoboam. And if you go back to, it must be 2 Kings that this story is told in, that 1 Kings, 2 Kings, anyway, one of the kings. Rehoboam succeeds Solomon, and Israel comes to Rehoboam saying, hey, Solomon was hard on us. What do they mean by that is Solomon built the temple, right? So he taxed everyone to provide the resources to build that temple. Now the temple project was done. Everybody's saying, hey, can we get a break for a while? Because we had a heavy burden. And let's see, Barbara Del Rio is saying, Solomon died in 922, then Rehoboam became king. Yes, thank you for that reminder. That was helpful, because Solomon wasn't alive when Rehoboam did this really foolish thing. So that's helpful. Good. Thank you for doing that research, Barbara. And so continue this heavy taxation. Let them have a reprieve, and they'll be faithful to you for all of your reign. They'll say, "Wow, what a wise king," and they'll love you and they'll be faithful to you. That was their counsel. And he goes, okay, I get that. Let me go to some other counselors. And he chooses his friends, people of his own age and his own peers, and says, hey, what do you guys think I should do? And they tell him, it's like, well, Rehoboam, they're challenging you because they think you're weak. And so you need to show them how strong you are. So you need to increase the taxes. You just say, you're not only going to, you think you had it hard when my dad was in power? You've yet to meet hard. Welcome to the new regime. Well, in history we see that did not go well, because Jeroboam is raised up, and he leads a rebellion against Rehoboam, Solomon's son, and 10 of the 12 tribes follow him, and they establish a whole new kingdom. And this is where the kingdom of Israel is divided. You have from this day forward in all of Israel's history, you have the northern kingdom, Israel, and then the southern kingdom, Judah. There's only 2 tribes remaining in the southern kingdom. That's Judah, the kingly tribe, and Levi, the tribe that serves in the temple, the priestly tribe. And so it becomes just a very sad part of Israel's history, all because Rehoboam did not heed the counsel of his father to listen to wisdom crying out in the streets. Instead, he said, nah, my idea is better. I think I'm wise enough. I'm wise in my own eyes, which the proverb writer consistently uses that phrase to depict the fool. And so how are we looking to God to navigate life is the bottom line. Are we starting with God? He lays out for us principles that bring life and blessing and joy, and his word includes the wisdom to navigate both good times and bad times, and to know that he has a plan that spans all of time, that he is good, he loves us, and we can trust fully in him. Trust in the Lord today. He is in control. He loves us, and he is the source of all wisdom. Lord bless you. I feel very blessed today on my 54th birthday today. Thank you for your birthday wishes, and we will see you again tomorrow morning.